You have unrealistic expectations of yourself. Yes, you do. How do I know? Because I work with people all the time who are trying to improve their relationship with time, who are trying to get more done, who are trying to reduce their stress, who are trying to build habits, who are trying to break habits, who are trying to, work on themselves, right? And I have never once met a person who was just absolutely thrilled with how quickly they were making progress, right? Now, some people make progress faster than others. Some people make progress faster on some things than they make on other things, of course. But in general, everyone wants to make progress as quickly as they can. And they expect that they're going to be able to make lasting progress in a way that is much faster than they are actually capable of doing. Okay. So when we think about this, right, I want to ask you realistically, do you also expect this of yourself, right? Do you expect that you're going to just go from newbie to expert in a real quick hot minute there? Or are you expecting that things are going to take a little bit of time? And do you berate yourself when you are not making progress as quickly as you think you should, right? When you say, I know how to do this, why aren't I just doing it perfectly all of the time? Do you say that to yourself, right? You would not be the only one. So I want to ask you a question, right? I want to ask you a question that I hope is going to help to reframe this a little bit for you. Okay. So now let's imagine that you are going to the gym and you're a person who doesn't go to the gym, or maybe you haven't been to the gym in months or years, or maybe you have never been to the gym, but you want to get stronger. You want to have, more strength in your life. You want to increase your bone density. You want to feel good. You want to look good. You want to be strong. So you're going to go lift weights at the gym, right? So you go to the gym. And let's say on this first day, the only thing you can do, you can actually move that barbell up, right? But you can't put any weight on it. You can't lift it. Like even just lifting the barbell itself, that is way too much, right? Like you can do it, but you can't do it for very long, and you certainly couldn't add a bunch more weights to that, right? This makes sense. You haven't done it before, right? So let me ask you this question. Now, let's say you went to the gym maybe 2, 3 times this week, right? Um, would you expect yourself when you go in next week to be able to all of a sudden be bench pressing 200 pounds, right? Have added a whole bunch of weight to that and be able to do it right away? Would you expect that of yourselves? No, you wouldn't. That's absurd, right? It's completely absurd. You would not expect that you're going to start lifting weights and then all of a sudden next week you are going to be able to lift the heaviest thing, right? You would also let's say you're going to start running, right? Let's say you start running this week. Now, first just congratulate yourself for getting off the couch and getting started. But let's say that maybe that first mile you do, maybe it takes you 15 minutes. Maybe it takes you 20 minutes. Maybe you can only run half of it, right? And you walk the rest of the way. Maybe you can only run for a block. Good job, right? But would you the next week expect yourself to be running a 7-minute mile? No, right? Like it takes more work than that. It takes reps, it takes practice, it takes, this incremental small improvement over time. And so we know this viscerally. Like when I'm even saying this, you're probably thinking like, yeah, are you dumb? Of course, like I wouldn't expect that of myself. No, you wouldn't expect that of yourself. But people all the time, and I bet you do this too, expect themselves to do something that is like mental, and they expect to make progress that quickly. So all the time, I am working with folks who they're just learning about how to use their task system, right? They're just learning about that. And they come in and they're like, yeah, I just wasn't perfect at it this week, or I'm not doing it yet. Or, I did it a little bit, but it's not working yet. Well, it's not supposed to, right? We need to put in the reps. We need to put in the practice. We need to iterate over time, right? We're not going to like learn how a method for handling our email and then all of a sudden next week or tomorrow be doing it perfectly, right? We shouldn't expect that of ourselves because even for things that don't have anything to do with our bodies, it's still, we have to build that mental muscle. We have to build those reps. We have to keep going. We have to keep practicing until we get to where we want to be. And so when we have these really unrealistic expectations of ourselves, we tend to start that negative self-talk. Like we're beating ourselves up about it. We're like, I got it. I tried it. I understand it. I know it should work. Why is it not working perfectly all the time? It's like saying, okay, well, I'm going to go from no planning to planning and then being really upset with myself if my plan doesn't go perfectly, right? Or maybe I'm going to start time blocking and I time blocked, but I didn't follow it exactly perfectly. Well, you weren't expected to. right? Because you're learning, you're in the learning process, you're in the practicing process, you're in the mode that is going to get you there eventually. And I hate to break it to you, but there is no fast way, right? There is no way to go from newbie to expert at something without the practice that is required in between. And that's what we want, right? That's what we really want. We want it to go faster, right? And unfortunately, that's just not how it works, right? We are not going to be able to build those habits as quickly as we want. But if we don't keep trying, then we're not going to be able to build them at all. And that's the kicker, right? Is that we actually have to get through that messy middle process. We have to get through that place where it just doesn't feel that good because we're like wondering why can't we be better at this already, right? We're trying. Why is it not happening fast enough? And I get it, right? That happens to me sometimes too. But you are not doing it wrong. This is what I want you to know. Just because you're not doing it perfectly doesn't mean you're not doing it wrong, right? Every time you try, that is a step in the right direction. That is getting you closer to where you want to be. And if we don't get started, if we don't take those steps, we are never going to get there. So it's going to take longer than you want it to. And that's okay. But if you can let go of some of those super unrealistic expectations of yourself, then it's going to happen a little bit faster because you're not going to have that negative self-talk there telling you that, why can't you do this? Why aren't you better? Why aren't you faster, etc. If we can get that voice just a little bit quieter, a little bit out of our head, we can actually get down to the business of actually doing the things, practicing, putting in the reps that are going to get us there eventually. Now, if you want to see this type of content in your feed, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next week.
Just like she said, make sure to like and subscribe, as only a small percentage of you guys are actually subscribed. And thank you for watching the video.